Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we're doing a deep dive into something, well, something that feels very relevant right now. Past tech revolutions and the fears they sparked.
Right. It's this cycle, isn't it? New technology appears, everyone worries, and then eventually we adapt.
Exactly. So our mission today is to look back, pull out the key lessons from how societies handle these big shifts, and see what that means for, for you listening today.
It really strikes me that this fear, this technophobia, it's not new at all. Didn't we see a whole lot of this back in the Industrial Revolution in
But
England?
absolutely, that's a prime example. And what's fascinating, I think, is how specific those fears were back then.
Like the Luddites.
Precisely. The Luddites, British artisans, early 19th century, they weren't just smashing machines because they were new. They were protesting very specific things, like textile looms.
Because those looms directly threatened their jobs, their skills.
Exactly. They saw their craft, their livelihood, as something that needed protecting. It was the application, the immediate impact, not necessarily the invention in a vacuum. That's a really important distinction.
It is, and we see echoes of that today with AI, automation. The debate isn't just, is the tech good or bad? It's, how does this affect jobs? How do we support people?
So it wasn't just new equals bad. It was a very real, immediate threat. Okay, so thinking about that,
Mm.
when did these shifts start not just causing fear, but really fundamentally changing daily life? I mean, maybe the automobile,
That's a perfect next step. Yeah, fast forward to the early 20th century, the car.
the machine of the devil, right?
Some people definitely call it that. And look, the early problems were real. Speeding, reckless driving, pedestrian deaths were a new and scary thing.
But it became this symbol of freedom status.
Totally. And we literally rebuilt our cities, our whole infrastructure around it. It became central, which brings up another point.
Mm.
What about when the fear doesn't completely go away?
You mean like fear of driving itself?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Amaxophobia. It's a real thing.
Yeah.
Studies, I think some in Spain show like a third of people feel anxious driving, and maybe around 6 or 7% have what you'd call a full phobia.
Wow, even now.
Even now. And interestingly, the solutions to the car's initial dangers often involve more tech, right? Airbags, ABS.
Call lock brakes, yeah.
Right. Those things drastically improve safety, despite maybe some initial hiccups. I mean, the drop in deaths per mile driven is huge, from like 240 in the 1920s down to maybe 12 today in the U.S.
That's incredible.
It is. But then new anxieties pop up. Look at the confusion around self-driving cars now. People thinking they can just, take a nap at the wheel.
Yeah, that's concerning. So it's this journey from devil's machine to essential tech, but the anxiety just shifts. What about aviation? That must have seemed terrifying initially.
Oh, absolutely. Think about it. Uncontrolled balloons in the 1700s, then dirigibles. It took until 1903 for the Wright brothers' first controlled flight. Even the autogyro, sort of a helicopter precursor, was until the 1920s. A long, long process.
And the fear is understandable. Engine failure, turbulence.
Of course. But the reality, flying is statistically the safest way to travel, by far.
What are the numbers like?
In the U.S., it's something like 1 fatal accident per 100 million flights.
That's hard to even comprehend.
It is. And it's down to incredibly rigorous testing. Simulating tens of thousands of flights before a plane even carries passengers, like the Airbus A380 test, plus redundancy, backup systems, strict maintenance.
It transforms places too, doesn't it? Like connecting remote areas.
Definitely. Think about the Manutara plane arriving on Rapa Nui, Easter Island. It fundamentally changed life there, connecting it, bringing supplies. It shows how tech becomes embedded, even vital, despite maybe creating new dependencies. The benefits often just outweigh those early fears.
So wrapping this up, well, what's the big takeaway here for you listening? We've seen this pattern again and again, haven't we? Looms, cars, planes, now AI, autonomous systems. Fear is constant.
It seems to be.
Yeah.
But societies adapt, and often the technology itself helps solve the problems it creates.
Right. So it really comes down to the choices we make, doesn't it? The policies, the rules, how we decide to integrate these things, that's what shapes the real impact.
Exactly. Which leads to the big question for today, I think. As we face all these new shifts, what are the current tech lashes? And crucially, how will the choices we make now steer this next revolution? Are we actually learning from the past?